Justin Trudeau has announced that if his Liberals form the next government, he will conduct a full review of any laws that Stephen Harper has imposed on Aboriginal people. That's Trudeau's phrasing. Here, listen to him say it.
We will conduct a full review of the legislation unilaterally imposed on Aboriginal peoples by the Harper government.
Well, of course, Stephen Harper doesn't impose laws on anyone. Parliament passes laws. Parliament is made up of people from all parties, of course, but also all ethnic backgrounds. We don't have special votes for special races. There isn't a women's veto, a black veto, a Chinese-Canadian veto. That doesn't even make sense. That's a racialization of our politics that's absurd. It's not contemplated by our Constitution or even with our treaties with Indian bands. It's just pure race baiting by Trudeau, which is a disappointment because the Liberals used to stand for equality before the law, for a Canadian oneness, not for two-tiered citizenship. There is a law in the books now, though, not one written by the evil Harper government, but rather one that stretches back a great many years, a racist law, an anti-Indian law imposed on Indians back when Indians couldn't vote, weren't in Parliament. That law is called the Indian Act. We've talked about that law many times before. It's a terrible law. It takes away rights from Indians on reserve. It takes away their property rights, for starters. It limits economic rights. It even limits the right of Aboriginal farmers to sell their produce to people off reserves. Can you believe that? It even takes away the rights of an Indian on a reserve to make his own last will and testament. Seriously, that law only applies to Indians. Can you imagine if a law was passed that said if your city council didn't like your will, they could crack it open after you died, make changes to it that they wanted? I mean, we wouldn't stand for that. I'm not exaggerating, though you probably think I am. That is just one example of the racism in our Indian Act. But that's not what Trudeau's on about. He's against the First Nations Financial Transparency Act. That's a law that was passed by Parliament to require Indian chiefs to disclose to their own band members how much they get paid and to post the band's financial statements online. That's all that law does. That's all it does, giving Indians living on the reserve the same basic financial accountability from their government as you and I have from our city. So it's a baby step to improve life for Indians, for grassroots Indians, but Trudeau is actually siding with the chiefs who want to keep their paychecks secret from their own people. That's what a chief is, a politician who runs a reserve, and Trudeau is siding with the chiefs against the Indians. That won't surprise you. I mean, here's Trudeau posing for photos with Chief Teresa Spence, the chief of the corrupt Attawapiskat Indian Reserve, where an audit showed that in 80% of band transactions, there was no paperwork, even for big real estate deals. Chief Spence and her boyfriend both had signing authority over the band's millions. No wonder they lived the high life while ordinary Indians lived in squalor. Yeah, whose side is Trudeau on? The rich chiefs or ordinary Indians? Why on earth would he fight a law that requires Indian politicians to publish how much money they're taking from the band government? Justin Trudeau is not a friend of Aboriginal people. He's a friend of millionaire Indian chiefs. There's a difference. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.